officially welcome you to today's session. And as we all know, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. And I'm sure that a lot of you have been hearing about LinkedIn and how LinkedIn can help you get a job. And the last time I was telling someone that, I have had a LinkedIn profile for a very long time. And I haven't really updated my LinkedIn. When they say optimization, what it means is that how you can create or craft your LinkedIn profile to get the best out of it. And I'm sure and I'm happy to have Etonam online. Etonam is the recruitment lead for Jobberman. And Jobberman, all of you, those who don't know Jobberman is a recruitment firm in other African countries. They have a lot of branches or offices in other countries. They are not only in Ghana. I have been following Jobberman for quite some time now, and I know that they are into a lot more when it comes to human resource management. And so without much ado, I would like Etonam to introduce herself and then start the session so that our audience they are keen, they are waiting, they can't wait, and I don't want to take much of their time. So welcome, Etonam. And as I mentioned, this program is being brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Mobile Web Ghana, American Corner, Gbugba, and in collaboration with Jobberman. So, Etonam, pleasure. I'm so excited
Thank you very
to have you
much.
here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Florence. I am also excited to be here because of the topic we are engaging today. It means that somebody actually cares, because it's really sad when you get onto LinkedIn and see how people's landing pages are looking. So my name is Etonam. I lead the recruitment team for Jobberman Ghana. I'm here with another colleague, Flora, who will be joining me in the Q&A. So we are really equipped to push this conversation through. I'm going to quickly share my screen and then we can proceed. Okay, so let me know if you see my screen, please.
Yes, I can see it clearly.
Okay.
So if you can put it on presentation mode, that would be helpful.
All right. Can we carry on?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you put it on presentation mode? Maybe somewhere. Yes, you click on it's a slideshow and start from the beginning.
Okay. Do you see the slideshow now? Because I'm slideshowing now.
Okay, it will appear hopefully.
So I had the objectives that were shared with us. For me, if these two things happen at the end of this conversation, I think it will be mission accomplished, that we are able to create a stellar LinkedIn profile and also being able to build and leverage the LinkedIn networks that we have created for career mobility. Those would be the key takeaways that will make this conversation successful. Yet it's not about me. So I would, from time to time, maybe Florence, you can recap some of the expectations and hopefully we'll be able to bridge the gap with our conversation today.
Sure.
So as we get into our conversation, I would like to read out some statistics that I believe are staggering for me and should be for us too on this meeting today. So the global unemployment rate currently stands a little above 5%, and that's alarming, because imagine all the people within the job pool today, and a whopping 5% of them are actively searching. So if you are someone who is job searching, this is the competition that you are up against. Also, as at October 22, a World Bank report says that 110,000 graduates are churned out annually. I'll just allow a moment for that to sink a little bit. And whilst that's sinking, I want you to also think about how many jobs are open commensurate to this number of graduates that are churned out annually. Also, for every role that you see advertised, there's an average of 250 applications coming in. So if ever, let's say you're on this meeting today and you applied for a job, the application is going through with 250 others. And so the competition is really tight. Out of these applications, research also shows that 1/3 of them will be overqualified applicants. Overqualified people who apply for jobs because there's very little number of them. And then on LinkedIn, currently, we have 55 million companies registered, and then we have 40 million open jobs. Then we have what we call the global talent pool. What that means is that if you see a vacancy in Ghana, it's not limited to just candidates or applicants in Ghana only. Now, because of the global talent pool, people can access jobs from anywhere. I just painted this picture so that you see how that the employment landscape is really busy and competition is tight. So what is it about you that will make you stand out in this pool of humans in a space like this? And for the context of today's conversation, LinkedIn, what is it about you that will make you stand out? That's the reason we are talking about optimizing your LinkedIn.
And so we have seen, please post your questions. For every job opening, there are 25 more people, 250 people that have applied. That is quite alarming and interesting. It means that even if it's a cleaning position, there are 250 people more that have applied to this cleaning position. And what do you think about this staggering statistics, and what do you make out of it? Do you think that we have a chance? So what it means is that we have to really sharpen our skills as people looking for a job or people looking for opportunities to really, why are some organizations not willing to employ perceived overqualified applicants? Okay, your questions have already started coming, and I'm sure that we will look at it. Okay, thank you, you can hear me. So I mean, this, whether we like it or not, there are a lot of rules, regulations, norms that people or companies follow before they hire a specific person, whether we like it or not. And so some of these sessions, Seth, you can't hear me, please check your mic. Seth, please also make sure you connect to an audio, because sometimes people connect on Zoom, they don't click on their mic to connect to the audio. Yes, the slideshow is now working perfectly, beautifully. Thank you, Etonam.
Thank you, Florence. Okay, so we can carry on.
Yes, please, you can carry on. You can go.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to go back to the statistics?
No, it's fine. I think that they've gotten it.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, so why is it necessary to optimize your LinkedIn? Florence mentioned that earlier, that optimizing means to make the most of something. So we realized that there are other social media platforms, right? TikTok, Instagram, X. Well, for me, and then for the people that are in my network, I can conclusively say that most people spend more time or optimize the usage of other social media platforms in comparison to LinkedIn. But to optimize is to make the most of something. Okay, so why is it important to optimize or make the most of your LinkedIn? Is to enhance your professional branding. I mentioned earlier that there are over 700 million users. In fact, that's a while back. I found out this morning that there are over 853 million users on LinkedIn today. So what is it about your brand that will make you stand out? Brands are things that differentiate one person from the other person. So optimizing your LinkedIn will ensure that you stand out. Now, visibility is the name of the game. I painted a picture earlier so that you see how busy the landscape is. Take moving into town, for example, maybe taking a walk in Accra Central is really busy. We don't know who is who, but what is it about you that will make you stand out? Optimizing your LinkedIn also increases your visibility. Now, there's so much more to LinkedIn than job seeking or job searching. Leveraging networks is one of the reasons you have to optimize your LinkedIn so that you can make the most of the connections and relationships that you build on LinkedIn. There are so many people that are looking to navigate their careers. There are a few people on this meeting that I know are mid career upwards. LinkedIn is one of the ways to navigate your way into other industries or look for mobility within your career. And then also, because it's a platform for knowledge sharing and information is free, you find thought leaders posting on one topic or another on a consistent basis. You can literally be schooled just sitting on LinkedIn and reading content that people are generating. So having touched on these 5 things, you realize that you are really shooting yourself in the foot if all you're doing on LinkedIn is to visit there only when you get a notification to apply for a job. And you spend seconds there because LinkedIn will also suggest easy apply. I think that's what they call it. So you just click on a button, your application goes through and you're off the page. You're shooting yourself in the foot. There's so much more that you can do with the platform.
Keep your questions coming.
Okay. All right. So we look at profile setup on LinkedIn. Now, this is the meat of this conversation, really. Why is it necessary to set up your profile? LinkedIn is a system that's AI built and machine learning built. Machine learning is basically teaching a computer or a system what to do. So it becomes accustomed to a particular output based on the input that's given to it. So LinkedIn will suggest that you are a strong candidate when your profile is 100% complete, tailored to a particular job. I'll say that again. Because you go on LinkedIn, you find people whose profiles are 25% complete, and they actually will receive notifications to complete, but some way, somehow, it's a lot of work. So I'd rather not complete the profile. And I'm saying that according to research and also data from LinkedIn, they tell us that your profile is 60% likely to be engaged or pop up in a search when it's 100% complete. So if we are comparing someone whose profile is complete as against another one whose profile is scanty, the complete profile stands a chance of standing out in a LinkedIn search. So that's why a profile setup is really, really important. So I'm going to go through the items one by one as it relates to setting up your profile. And whilst we are doing this, you can take an inventory of what your profile is looking like and then decide to take action to correct them. First of all, use a professional photo. I've heard this adage that says that dress, and this adage is given in relation to interviews. They will tell you that dress for the job you want and not the job you have. Okay, so if you're looking for a managerial role and maybe you're an officer currently, or you're an entry-level person, you just finished your national service, looking for a solid entry-level role, and you land an interview opportunity, you'd like to take your appearance to make a solid, strong impression. It's the same thing with a professional photo on LinkedIn. How do you want to be perceived? And they'll tell you that 60% of your face or your photo should show your face so that we see who we are dealing with. And this is a psychological issue because it kind of builds trust and openness when you show us a photo where we are able to see your face, as against a full photo that's really way backward, so we can't really relate with who we are dealing with. The worst of it is to not have a photo at all. So we just see an image there. We can't really relate with who we are dealing with. Your profile is 40 times likely to be engaged once we have a photo there, professional one that reflects how you want to be seen. Now, when it comes to photo, you also have the header section. That's also a very good place to show us what kind of person you are, what your values, what beliefs you stand for. So I see that for many people, they would maybe use a quote by an industry leader within their space, a quote that they themselves have generated, or an image that sort of showcases what they do. So those two things you should take into consideration when you are selecting your photo. Your header should share something about what you do, and then your photo should be professional enough to represent the kind of brand you are trying to sell. Now, creating a compelling headline is extremely important. The unfortunate thing is that for many people, all they do is to just put their job title there and then that's it. But there's a section where you can include keywords that recruiters will be looking for, or anyone that's searching for you will be looking for. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are a digital marketer, right? So most people, what they'll do is to just put the title there, digital marketer, and that's it. But you need to incorporate keywords that are relevant for your industry, because when a recruiter is searching, and whilst I'm giving this talk, I want you to be thinking in light of what the recruiter is expecting. So you're sort of sitting in their minds to see how do they carry out their searches. Okay, so you include the recruiter is going to be using keywords to run their searches. So if you're a digital marketer, instead of just writing your title, digital marketer, and that's it, you should include keywords like content strategy, SEO, and the likes. Let's say you are a data analyst, for instance. You should use keywords like data visualization, SQL, which are all keywords that are relevant to that industry. Let's say you're a graphic designer, you need to use keywords like UI, UX, and all those things that are relevant for your space. So that section actually gives you a 120 letter space, and you need to use that to make a difference, to make sure that you are ranked high and then you pop up. Keywords are very relevant in searches for LinkedIn, so you need to make use of that headline section. Now let's come to composing a strong summary. This is a section that gives us a snapshot of your career journey so far. For a recruiter, it takes us under 10 seconds to decide whether we want to engage with a profile or not. And sometimes all it takes is to just read that summary section. You may know, okay, I want to contact this person. So you create a summary of your journey. Over here also is an opportunity for you to input keywords that are relevant to your industry, because recruiters don't search for titles. Beyond that, they will use these keywords to find exactly what they are using for. So don't lose an opportunity to create a very compelling summary. You can take your phone whilst I speak and be going through these sections and take note to make the necessary changes that you are required to make. Also, the detail of your work experience. And for me as a recruiter, this is really sad because you may find someone, okay, they put, maybe they're doing things right so far, great photo, great headline, great summary section, then work experience is blank. We just don't know what you have done. We can't track anything. And that's really not the best. Another thing people do here is that for a recruiter is two things. Either you have engaged the person's CV already and you want more information, or all you have is the LinkedIn profile. If you have the CV, you've seen what the person has done in the CV and all of that. We don't want a duplication of your CV on your LinkedIn profile per se. What we mean by detailing your work experience is to give us highlights of your career, your accomplishments. If you are someone within the finance space, for instance, that's when you make use of your numbers and your percentages and all the successes that you've chalked, over the course of your career or whatever it is, just highlighting your strengths and the things that you've been able to do in your work life. So there's no way you should leave your work experience section blank. You definitely should populate that with information for people who are looking for it to easily access it. Now, skills and endorsements. I mentioned earlier that LinkedIn is a very populated platform, and what you need is visibility and credibility. So there's a section for skills, and again, people don't use it at all. For example, we do tech recruiting a lot. And for tech recruiting, you need to be very familiar with the stacks that developers use, or a client will be asking for particular stacks. And so they will ask for programming languages and other database tools that you have used. In this skills section, you need to list those things there as a developer or any other industry you find yourself in, because we go there and we see what skills you have highlighted, which is great. But beyond that, if you can get people to endorse you for those skills, most likely people in your first grade or first degree connections who have maybe worked with you or know you quite closely, have done projects with you, who can actually endorse you for a skill, that gives you credibility. And what happens is that when those skills are popped into search strings, it will easily pop up as against someone who has listed skills on their own without any endorsements. So then there are little actions that have very powerful outcomes. So it's two things. We've all listed skills that we are good at this, yet I have been endorsed by first degree connections to be able to do these things, in actuality. Because of that, it ranks me higher than you, not because you are not as good, but because I have endorsements. So these are little things that have very, very powerful outcomes that we need to take advantage of. I'll also touch on education and certifications. I always say that knowledge is the new currency for this age. More than that, upskilling, reskilling, learning and continuous learning are the currency for the age. And so if you can showcase your commitment for continuous learning and improvement, you become attractive and a strong candidate for a role. And most recruiters, forward-looking ones, are looking for things like this. Solid companies are looking for people who are open, because we are living in a very rapid technological pace, especially within the working space. And so one of the key soft skills that employers are looking for is someone who has adaptability and agility. And the way we see that is to see what kind of skills you're following. We can even follow your certifications to know whether you're on top of trends occurring within your space. So you are being certified for this and for that and all. And the good thing is most of these trainings are even free. Okay, so once you are able to get certified for any of these skills, it's good to showcase them so that we see what you have done. And when in a search, those certifications are included, definitely you will be ranked above someone whose certifications are not necessarily showcased. Then again, I'll touch on accomplishments. It's very important. You know how it's easy on other social media platforms like WhatsApp and co to want to make people know what you're up to, what you've done. You update your status every minute or every other hour and all of that. It's even more important for you to do those things on LinkedIn. Be current on the platform, be as current on the platform as you are on other social media platforms. Let's see what you have done so that your ranking in the space would be high. All right, I'm going to move on from here. This was a very thorough one. So Florence, I don't know whether you'd want to take a thought or two on that as we progress.
Oh, yes, I would definitely want to do that. And I think that the sessions, the details you've given, especially on the keywords relevant for your specific industry, I think that this can't be overemphasized enough. And we all know how keywords are relevant in search engines. For instance, if you're looking for a specific thing, depending on how the website is crafted, to be search engine optimized, then your website can be found. I think that it's still the same analogy you're bringing into our LinkedIn profile, that we should really optimize, or we should use the keywords so that when we are being searched, we also appear or rank high, like how it is done on Google or any other search engine platform. And I think that that is very key. You also mentioned that recruiters, the first thing they use is to use the keywords. If you're a content strategist, you should say you are into SEO, content marketing. You should be specific. The same apply to whichever area you are into. If it's data visualization, let's know the tools you master in, the kind of things you do. It's more specific. And you highlighted that, and you mentioned that the profiles shouldn't be a duplication of our CVs, but it should be summarized version, a highlighted version of what we've done, industry experience, education, and those key details. And one of the things that really surprised me is the endorsements, how the endorsements could come out as a higher rank in the search engine than when you list your skills. Like, I'm a project manager, I'm good, I've listed all these wonderful skills. But if someone endorses me, it will come out higher than my own skills that I've listed. And you also emphasized a couple of things, that endorsement is key, knowledge is the new currency. And I believe that these are really important tips and tricks that you're really teaching us. And I think that for me, the overarching goal or objective, or the key thing that I have taken away from this session that we have done whilst we progress to the other one, is that you mentioned that LinkedIn is a machine, like it's not a human being to sway away from what it has been asked to do. And so whilst you're talking about the search engine optimization, you're talking about the keywords, you're talking about endorsement, you're talking about these key things. I think that it's a high time that all of us will really focus our energy and time on some of these things you are pointing us to, so that we would really be ranked high and get a lot of visibility for our LinkedIn profile. Etonom, I hope I've done a good summary of what.
Excellent. Excellent summary there. Thank you so much. So this next slide just is an image of what we've been talking about, some of what we've been talking about so far. So you see that the image highlights especially their face. It's almost like you are dealing with a person in reality, but this is just an image and it's really clear enough. So you can have a mental picture of who it is you're dealing with without having physically met them. Okay, so let's say you're looking for a customer service role and in your mind, you have an image of someone who is really bubbly. This Lelena person we are seeing here right now looks like someone who will be a very pleasant customer service person. Even so, you already form a mental image, in your mind about the person before you go ahead to engage them. So the image issue is something that you cannot toy with. And then you would also see that in their header section, you see that she's a marketing lead. That's her title. But creative directing, content strategy are all part of what she does. When you come here, this Sydney person also has a summary of what she has done as a content marketer over a decade. She said she's done B2B leads, generate revenues, achieve lofty SEO goals. Those are all keywords that they have incorporated into their profiles. So I would emphasize that this a call to action. I'll be doing that throughout the conversation to take note of what doesn't exist with your LinkedIn profile and then go back to make that change. All right, so building and engaging your network is another important thing that we use our LinkedIn for. I mentioned earlier that if all you are using the platform for is to just apply for a job and then move on until you get the next job notification, then you're really not optimizing the usage of the platform. LinkedIn is a place for connection, and you'd see that we said to connect strategically. As I sit here, I have so many connection requests that I haven't accepted, and I don't think I'll accept them because they're just blank. There's no context, no prior engagement, no background. It's just a request that came in and it's like, I'm just obligated to accept. No, I'm not obligated to accept. Your connections are supposed to be strategic. So we are saying send personalized connection requests to colleagues or industry leaders or whoever it is that you want to connect with. Maybe the person spoke at a meeting that you were at, or the person is a thought leader sharing content or something like that. Maybe you're looking for a mentorship relationship, a coaching relationship, whatever it is. Your LinkedIn request should be guided. And again, just as you sit in the mind of the recruiter when you are creating or setting up your profile, you should sit in the mind of the one to whom you're sharing the connection and ask yourself, if it were me, what's in it for me? Why should I accept a connection request from this person? So you send a personalized note of intent. I think you have an allowance of 200 words to be able to send a connection request with a personalized message. If you're someone who is on LinkedIn Premium, you have no limits of what to say, but most of us are on the free version. So it allows us a minimum or maximum of 200 words. So you see something, you spoke at this engagement, I follow your content, make reference to something. I think a couple of months ago, there's this lady that's a leadership in the workplace influencer. And her content just popped up one time, maybe because of the searches that I have done over time. And I thought, this is really powerful. I would like to be getting notifications to read her post and all of that. But beyond that, I wish I could get a mentorship relationship from her. And this person has millions of followers. And I thought that, oh, when will she ever see my message? But I took the chance. I crafted a personalized message around the things that she shares. because those things were really, you can tell that she's passionate about those topics. So I shared with her how I identify with some of these things, and we really appreciate a connection relationship with her beyond, just reading her post. Look, I'm not even exaggerating. She replied in under 30 minutes because people value meaningful relationship. They're not just looking for, following or just anybody being within their network. They want to be networked with people who identify with the things that matter to them. So all I'm saying is that connect strategically. Craft, don't just share a LinkedIn request. We are recruiters, so because we'll constantly be posting jobs and all of that, you see someone and clearly they sent you the connection request because of the job. But yeah, that's not a problem. All you need to do is probably make a note. Oh, you posted this job and I'm interested. I thought to connect to see how this goes. A connection is made, but when it's just vague with nothing attached, it will not be treated as something that's important. So you should have, that's the reason you sent hundreds of LinkedIn connection requests and haven't received any, any responses. Okay, so we're also saying that you should engage regularly. Liking, commenting, sharing content that's relevant to your industry. Again, LinkedIn, for you to leverage the platform, you need to be known as someone who engages the system on a frequent basis or on a consistent basis. Just as I said and Florence reiterated, it's a machine learning system. We teach the system what to do. And so if you are constantly engaging the system, you'll be ranked in searches. And you see that we always say relevant to your industry, because you don't want to go commenting things in the medical space when you are a customer service professional. Your impact wouldn't be that felt. But if that's your space, that's your industry, or that's the space you are looking to go into, then you want to be engaging frequently with content in there. Maybe you don't think you are where you are able to generate content yet as a thought leader, but we all start from somewhere. How about following content that someone else has generated and sharing your thoughts on it? Anything of value comes at a cost. It's really easy to say, oh, this person posted something, and just put a like there and move on from there. But it will take a bit more to actually read, comment, and share what you think about that person posted. Gradually, you are building credibility as a thought leader within that space. Anytime a search is done relevant to that content that was shared, you are likely to pop up. So we are saying that you should to leverage this platform and your network, engage the system regularly. Engage regularly. When someone shares a post in your industry, you should be able to share a comment within the first 3 hours. Consistently, over time, the system learns your availability and within that industry, and then you pop up in searches very quickly. Now, joining groups. I said that knowledge has become the currency of the new age, and it's just going to accelerate in the future. But you can be drowned in the information because we are in the information age. So how do you streamline information that's coming to you? What's really important to your life, your career, and the things you do? Joining some of these groups are one of the ways you build your knowledge base, because someone is going to do is great. If you have the time, you can also, give out this information based on research you've done. But most of the time in these groups, you find industry-specific knowledge shared. you find trends that are happening within the space, and then you just latch onto it and move. So you get knowledge at your fingertips by joining these groups and seeing what's happening then. And on there also, you have the opportunity to share content or also share your thoughts on what others are, all towards building credibility within your function. Publishing content, we already touched on that. Sharing your insights, you give yourself the chance to be a voice in the space. Now, following companies is one thing that's really critical, especially if you are actively job searching within your industry. Signing up for notifications and all that so that you receive job openings when they are open is very key for following these companies. But beyond that, there are relevant information that these companies also share about what's happening in their space, competitor engagement. These are some of the ways you deepen your business acumen and commercial awareness by following this, because they are constantly going to be posting on their progress and their interactions with their competitors. And this is happening within your space. You find people go for interviews and sometimes they're just blank about what's happening in their space. But following these companies gives you the opportunity to have deep conversations around commercial issues, deepening your acumen as far as their business bottom line is concerned. LinkedIn Learning is also another platform. I'm yet to know whether as a free user, you have full access to their learning platform. I don't think so. But when you sign up, if you're on this call and you've never explored this before, you can just go to their learning platform, the learning tab, to see whether you have that 1 month free usage of their learning platform. It gives you some. I know someone who signed on for the 30 days and did 30 courses. Yeah, and it's free. And these courses are extremely comprehensive. You have facilitation from thought leaders and you are certified for them. I mentioned earlier about continuous learning as a way of strengthening your profile on LinkedIn. And these courses are so great. I've known a few people who went on to actually pay to be on those platforms, to be able to consistently upgrade and upskill. And finally, on analytics is one of the ways you can leverage an understanding or insight into your activity on LinkedIn. Supposing you are someone who generates content, maybe you write a post, you got 500 people reading, and you're just satisfied. A more curious or strategic person will go into the analytics to see who are the people reading my content, so that you situate the things that you are writing. You have a niche audience that you appeal to. So it just strengthens what kind of content or streamlines the content you are putting out there. So these are some of the few ways you can actually build and engage your network on LinkedIn. Building an online presence. This is very crucial and important, because on LinkedIn, you are building a brand. Now, sometimes for a recruiter, when it comes to, or an employer, anyone that's looking for talent on LinkedIn, you may find two very solid candidates who are at par. When you've engaged them in terms of competencies, technical, soft skills, and all of that, they're just equal. It's just difficult to differentiate, to know who to actually go with. Some recruiters will now drill it down to their entire online presence, not just on LinkedIn alone. LinkedIn is just one of the platforms. So we would want to understand the kind of person you are, not what you told us, what we found out ourselves. So what are you selling on LinkedIn? The key here is to ensure consistency across your social media presence. We are not saying wear suit and tie and sit on Facebook per se, but we are saying whatever content you are putting out there should be a representation of who you are. If you are someone sharing your thoughts on whatever topics on LinkedIn, you're free to do the same things in a very appropriate way. It's not that we see you as a very professional person on LinkedIn, then we go on X and then you're just spewing venom over there. It brings your identity into question, and that's one thing you don't want to do. So just go on. I have done a lot of massive scraping of my Facebook, of my LinkedIn, because I mean, we grow. Sometimes the things you put out there are not things you necessarily believe in today. And you want to create that brand consistency across all these platforms. So it's something that you should take a note of and action as one of the things you are going to take care of at the end of this conversation. So what have we said so far in this conversation? Number one, we are saying your LinkedIn is more than a job search platform. It's a platform that can be leveraged for your next opportunity. There are people who have landed speaking gigs from LinkedIn just because they were consistently sharing content on a particular topic. In fact, there are others who have gone on to build entire careers, around speaking engagements. Imagine earning hundreds of dollars an hour just speaking, as against sitting 8 to 5 in the same industry. So in the same industry, someone is speaking and someone is sitting behind a machine, and the one speaking for an hour is earning in dollars and more. So people have leveraged the platform to do more than just landing job opportunities. Is what we are saying. Secondly, we are saying that continuously update your profile. If you are able to there are people whose lives you can track just by following their status. You don't need to call them. You know everything they've been through in the last year. We are saying you should do the same with your LinkedIn. If there are any highlights, any accomplishments, any career break, to do something interesting and all of that, they should feature on your LinkedIn. And we are also saying be intentional about building your network. It takes time. It's easy to just press send and just send a connection request, but it will take more to sit down and curate a very solid message that someone can reject. The person will instantly be interested in talking to you. It will take you time, but it will be worth your time. And we're also saying that your next employer may just be on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for taking a listen. Over to you now, Florence, for the Q&A.
Oh, I think this is a whole lot of free information and free tips to know exactly what we can do with our LinkedIn. There are a lot of questions already. Please keep your questions coming, and we have some few minutes, and I hope that Etonom will do justice to it. Sometimes, why should you believe what people say, or why should you care? And I mean, you should care and take this thing seriously, because Etonom was a coordinator for career services placement at the University of Ghana. She moved on to become a human resource manager, Maslow Office of the President, a group human resource manager at Fortex Holdings. And she has also been hiring senior talent acquisition specialist, Gratitude India as a freelancer. And now she's with Jobberman, senior talent acquisition consultant with Jobberman, and she's doing this full time. And sometimes, I mean, you can say one or two things about people who have experience, but when somebody has been doing something for a very long time and is giving you tips and tricks, especially if it is free, that you are not paying for this and it is free, I believe that we need to take it serious. And hopefully when we do at least implement one or two things, I'm sure that our job life or job searching life will be a nice and a beautiful one. And so I want to take some questions. I don't know, there are a lot of questions here and there are a lot of questions, a lot of comments on the chat box as well. That's a mouthful of information. I wish that we could have had part 1 and part 2, but I'm sure as time goes on, we will definitely have part 1 and part 2. And so one key question, why are some organizations not willing to employ perceived overqualified applicants? How does one achieve visibility? I'm sure that you covered that a bit, but you can also take it as well. And there is another question. There's another question. Is the headline used for displaying skills or explaining skills you are sufficient in? And I think that you can take these questions and then we'll move on to other questions that come into the chat box.
Okay, so I take the first question to be why an employer won't hire an overqualified candidate. Well, it's for, right, Florence, is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the first one?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So it's for a number of reasons.
Yes, I think, yes, the first one.
Okay. It's for a number of reasons. One, companies hire for competency, which is a key thing. But the trend in hiring today, you realize that most employers are looking for people who would fit into their culture. Okay, so if we find someone who is overly qualified, sometimes it's not just the experiences they've gathered, but sometimes the age. An employer will struggle to cope with how that person will fit into their culture. That's one thing. So you find this saying among employers today that they would rather hire for attitude than train for skill. So between skill, competency, and then cultural fit ranks the highest. So if the person is maybe in their 40s, but they are and very experienced. I mean, when you look at the job description, there's no doubt that this will be bred for this person. But they also think more along the lines of being able to assimilate into the kind of culture they run. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, I mean, you have just shared your CV and they haven't met you yet. Looking at just what you've done, they've already concluded that we might not be able to adequately compensate this person. And it will become something we might not be able to manage. And the truth of the matter is that because of the desperation of job searches, you find people who actually take up the role for way less than they are worth and eventually become disengaged on the job. And that's another thing an employer would have to deal with, because one disengaged employer is like a cancer that creates a certain energy that affects the entire staff strength. So there are a lot of little nuances that an employer may not be able to deal with. So they might as well just stick with someone who just fits the role right, not someone who is necessarily overqualified for the role, because some of them have gone on to try to get high quality for cheap and have suffered the consequences.
Okay, so it's not about lowering your pay, or I mean, employers have gone on to get a high quality for a cheap and have suffered the consequences when it comes to culture fit, when it comes to attitude, and when it comes to other things. I'm sure that is a good response. If you've asked a question on the chat box, I'm sure this is a good response for you. And there is another question. Somebody asked, is the headline used for displaying skills or explaining skills you are sufficient in? Which one is the best? And I think someone also asked, how do you achieve visibility? But I'm sure that you answered that during your presentation. So you can answer the headline questions and we can dive into one or two questions that we have.
Okay, so the headline gives you an opportunity to write 120 words. As at today, I'm not sure if they've extended that. And so in there, obviously, you can't explain your skills, but you can highlight some of them. That's what I mentioned earlier. So in addition to your job title, I use the example of a data analyst. If you're a data scientist, for example, the key definitely in every data scientist, data analyst job, you'll find the key requirements as to be able to data visualize, to be able to have the SQL skill. So these two things, for example, are things you can incorporate there, because that section doesn't really allow you to be able to say much. So highlighting these key skills. For example, if we were doing a session on CV, we would say that you should tailor your CV to suit a job. So if you take the job description, this is what they are looking for. I have them, but it's not represented in my CV. So then I make the necessary adjustments. It's the same thinking for LinkedIn as well.
For LinkedIn as well. I think there is another question in the chat box. So does it mean someone is asking, Frederick is asking, does it mean that we should create a message to the person we want to connect to before actually connecting to the person? Is that what you're suggesting? And then Crystal Watson is asking, how about issues of security on LinkedIn? Watson, can you explain further what you mean by security? Is it security on the information you put there, or security of somebody stealing information? Like, what exactly do you mean by security? I just want to get that clear. And I think you can answer Waters' question if it is important to craft a message to the person with the example that you gave about yourself and how you got connected to that person.
Yeah, so I'm saying that for most thought leaders or people who are already leading us in, or for people we want to aspire to, everyone appreciates meaningful relationships and meaningful engagements. So if you actually mean business of getting the person's attention, then you have to send a personalized message. And I mentioned that LinkedIn will give you an allowance of 200 words to be able to share a message with this person. Or maybe the person is was in the same year group with you in school, but for some reason, maybe their learning curve was really sharp, so they've gone on to be doing so much. You can leverage on the fact that, oh, we all graduated within this year group and all that, and you're doing amazing things in your space. It will be great to connect with you. Something as simple as that would warrant a response, rather than just sending a blank message and expecting someone to accept your connection. So yeah, definitely, I still subscribe to personalizing your messages.
Okay, so I hope that that answers your question. And I think that people want to know what is the rate of when it comes to online, and then when it comes to physically submitting letters. I mean, you've mentioned optimizing our LinkedIn, which is just one of the platforms that is credible when it comes to employment. I want to ask, in this modern age, which one would you suggest? Printing letters physically, or doing because until the job opening is there or they publish it, you can't apply, So which one is good? Is it good in this modern age to still print letters physically and send to organizations, or you should do more of the online? Which one would you suggest to somebody who is looking for a job?
Okay, so let me just throw this statistic in there. that 60% of, yeah, 60% of roles are filled through referrals. That's a whopping 60% of roles are filled through referrals. So, I mean, how many companies can you literally walk to and drop CVs here and there, you know, and all of that? And because of the rapid pace at which technology is moving, you'll be deceived if all you are doing, I'm not saying it's not, I mean, there are people who have gone on to land opportunities just by working. In my last 2 jobs, a guy walked into the reception. Apparently, he had been coming there for the last year. And, you know, we have the gatekeepers who would tell them, oh, HR is not around and all that. And for some reason that day, I happened to be at the reception when he walked in. I was looking for a regional manager for one of our regions, and he happened to have the exact expertise that I was looking for. And that's how he landed the job the next 2 days. I mean, Florence, you know, those opportunities are rare, right? But LinkedIn, I mentioned earlier that it has 55 million plus registered employers and over 14 million open jobs. In fact, I read this morning in a LinkedIn report that 3 jobs people are hired for 3 jobs every minute. I thought it was every hour. It's actually every minute 3 people are hired on LinkedIn. So it's a much wider platform, a much bigger space. You're sitting in one location, you're engaging with a lot of people, you know, as against having to do the manual work. So yeah, of course, you can go ahead and do the manual one, but it shouldn't be at the expense of engaging job boards and job platforms.
Wow, I think this statistics is staggering. I believe that it will help us. And I think that we have, I mean, there are still a lot of questions, but I'm sure that this brings us to the end of this particular session. Please join our WhatsApp group, join our Telegram page, join the links, fill the form. I'm sure that some of these questions can also be discussed online, and we can also forward it to Etonam to answer. And then the next session, when she comes, we would answer these questions. Join the sessions. And I think that we mentioned that if we attend this session a couple of times, you'll be given a certificate that is endorsed by American Corner Global, which is in partnership with the U.S. Embassy and Mobile Web Ghana. If you join consistently, my guys, the recording is available. So recording is available on Facebook. Please go to Facebook. You can get the recording. We will subsequently also share it on YouTube or Mobile Web Ghana YouTube page. And as I mentioned, this program, this particularly exciting program, is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Mobile Web Ghana, American Corner Global, and Jobberman. And I really want to thank Etonam for doing justice to the topic. And I'm sure those who had high expectations for this program, your expectation has been met. If please, you can put in the comments box what you think about this session. And Etonam, please, I really want to thank you for this wonderful high top presentation on LinkedIn optimization. You've just brought out my own flaws that for more than 40 years, I haven't really done any update to optimize my LinkedIn profile. I'm really going to repent immediately and go on and update my LinkedIn profile. And I hope it's the same for you. We are passionate, and we hope that you get a job through some of these tips and tricks we are sharing with you. And please, as I mentioned, Jobberman is our partner. I'm sure that when they also have some job opening, one day they will come here and give us a list of job openings they have. And I'm sure a lot of people also have questions for you as well. Like I mentioned, thank you very much, Etonam, and thank you very much, our participants. Those I can see Estella, Ethel, Etonam, Felix, Flora, Frederick, a lot of people, more than 50 people have joined the sessions, and we are very grateful for your time. And Priscilla is saying, I love it. Currently on my, people have already started updating their LinkedIn profile. Yao said it's a mouthful, great presentation, Etonam, and a lot of feedback is coming. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Try optimize your LinkedIn and see if you not get hired. You know, you can equally say that there's no job. That every 3 minutes, someone is hiring. Someone is hiring. And so thank you for the session. And we hope you connect to us on our LinkedIn profile, Mobile Web Ghana, at US Embassy Ghana, Facebook, Twitter. Join us for another amazing session next time. Thank you. We'll be doing CV clinic, physical CV clinic, where we review CVs. So please join these pages and you will get an update on what to do. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day.